Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and we have our first BT14 regionals for the Digimon card game, at least for the English version, and with the restrictionless changes that we get immediately with the release of this one. It is the TAC Oceania online regionals that happened this past weekend. And real quick, before we get started, if you guys enjoyed this content, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We're going to be doing a lot of Digimon BT14 content as we get it, as well as make sure to check out my website, which will have a lot more events, as again we have more to cover for this one. But again, this is a bit of a weirder event and kind of a smaller event too. It is, on the cusp of the set being out. We do have a good variety of I think 11 different 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 different decks getting into that top 16, which is a good diversity. It was only 69 players, so not a huge event, but I do think it's important to talk about. And again, congratulations to our top 16, and thank you again to TAC for running this event. But of our 11 archetypes, we have 3 Bloomlord, with one of them taking the event, 2 Black Wargreymons, 2 D-Brigade, 2 Loogamon, 1 of the Wargreymon, 1 BWGx, 1 Shine, 1 Lilith Loop, 1 Royal Knights, 1 Yellow Vaccine, and a Mastemon as well. So we're going to go over each one of these decks, at least the top placing one of each of these archetypes. And again, a little bit of diversity, but also some of these builds are maybe a little bit weird, but I do, I'm really excited to go over them anyway. So we're going to start off with our first place list. So this is Enoch's first place Bloomlord. And real quick, this is entirely a BT13 version of the deck. This has nothing new with it. It went 6-0, won the entire event with this one, and which is also doubly weird because I know that there's new stuff. We're actually going to look at another Bloomlord list in a second, but there's new cards to play with this. There's some new support with it, which is really interesting. So I don't know if there might have been a thing where they didn't know his BT14 was legal, or they didn't think any of the new stuff was worth it, but honestly, I think this deck is still good, and it does kind of shut down a lot of other decks. Quartzmon is still very strong in its own right, too, and this is the list here. So this is Enoch's, who got, again, first place with this version of Bloomlord. But we're also going to look at Christopher's fourth place list, just because it does have a little bit more of the newer stuff that I kind of want to talk about. Inherently, it does run like the new Palmon and also the new Mimi as well. So this has an on-play reveal the top 3 cards of your deck added to one card with a vegetation, plant, or fairy in one of its types, but also return the rest to the bottom, and then your turn when effect suspends a Digimon, either players, only in your turns, but so Digisorption works for it. You get to gain an additional memory. So getting that memory and being able to, get that, I think is great, as well as being a search on play, which is good. And so we do have, like most of the stuff is vegetation. I think actually all of it is. We do also have the agility training, which can help us find tamers. And since we go up our chains, and even we reduce the cost by 2, which means that unless you can't get around if you had the original delay option cards, you could have a Gazimon or any of the memory blockers to prevent you getting that memory. But these are a little bit easier to not get shut down with. And since reduces cost by 2, so you can do something in this where you reduce the Digivolution cost of Bloomlord by 2, but then it gains the memory back anyway. And it's very good. It's very, very good for the deck. So very strong for there. Now there also is one of the new blast cards. So we do have the Lilymon, which has the hand counter blast Digivolve, and also just the on-play or when Digivolving, you get to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. Then you may return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon with 5k DP or less to the bottom of their deck. So really nice there. And again, since this is an on-play or when Digivolving, you could just play this for 4 to get that immediate suspend on one of your opponent's Digimon and get the additional kind of removal there too. But I do like the flexibility of these cards. We're not going to see a lot of them in this top 16, to be honest, which is a little bit sad because it is the new mechanic and the new card. But I do think it's cool. And since we can, easily end on a level 4, since we go really wide with our Bloomlords and just playing stuff out to be able to go up our chains again, having a Lilymon be able to be around, I think is very easy, since again we'll probably have a bunch of level 4s we can end the turn on too. So this is Christopher's list again, who got 4th place. Congratulations to Christopher for their finish there. And then next up we have Vincent with their version of Wargreyx. And there are a couple of different Greymon builds I kind of loosely kind of associated which one they were closer to. So I think this is more of a Wargreyx version, since we do have 2 different copies of Wargrey as well as the Wargreyx. So we do have the new big bad boy. So this has a huge effect in a lot of text of when you have a Tamer with Tie in play, and your opponent has a Digimon with 1k DP or more, one of your Agumons, and you can Digivolve in this for 4. And then when Digivolving, this Digimon gains gains raid, and as well as then it may attack, so you can raid immediately. But also when attacking, if you have a tamer, this gains Curie Attack +1 and piercing. So just a whole lot of text, just kind of like a really specific scenario. But if you're able to get all that going, you do get a lot of great effects with this card, which like immediate removal as long as you have a tie out, which is a little surprising since we don't have a lot of ties in this deck. We only have 2 of these Curie Attack +1 from BT1 as well as one of the new ones from BT14. We are running the new Agumon, which does have the inheritable of just giving +2k to anything. So being able to turn this into a 14k is really good for you. We have like the BWGx. We do have some ways to play the Tie Tamers alternatively as well, with also the Metal Greymon. BT12 Wargreymon still is in a good spot for us, and then again like the Wargreyx offensive train. Like I'll probably not mention as much for most of the rest of these, but a lot of these decks are running the training options because they are really that good. The only cards this doesn't hit is the specifically Metal Greymons from Starter Deck 15, as well as like the X antibody, but otherwise pretty strong there. It's harder to play, I think, Cool Boy in this version as much as you want to, since there's not as much of like the X antibody chain for you, and the fact that you kind of want to see specifically ties for like the max value for some of your specific Agumons and Greymon cards. But anyways, I think a very aggressive build of this build here, and congratulations to Vincent for their 2nd place. Then also we have Chia or Allan with their 3rd place version of like the more Black War Greymon. So this is more like a controller version. Like if this was like aggressive version, this is more like the mid-range kind of control. We only run one Black Wargreyx, so I didn't really want to call it this, but I didn't on it. Like it's super is like just a Greymon toolbox, since we have one of this, one of the Black Wargrey, one of the Guilemon, and 2 of the Wargreyx. So or Wargrey. I didn't want to call this a Wargrey build, but it's kind of what it is. But again, like the inheritable from this Agumon, I think is very, very strong, and also being able to go into Greymon for free as long as you have tie at the beginning is great. And we are running a couple more of these with this one, as well as the 3-drop from BT12, which does get that additional memory on when digivolving, and the blocker and the +1k DP, which is really nice. We are also playing the offense training, which again we do kind of miss out on. Instead, the Starter Deck 15 Greymon, the black one, as well as the X antibody and the tie, but I think it does hit a lot. We do have the red memory boost there as well, and again, just a very big variety of stuff on the top end. We're also running 2 copies of Hades Force, which does get a good amount of tamer reduction or removal, which I think tamers are still, they're just going to be present forever, right? Most decks are running tamers. We don't have as much of like the hunters or like the crossheart that are like super duper dependent on it, and we didn't see any blue flare for this top 16 either, but I think they're going to be like, tamers are just always going to be around, and this is always going to get a lot of value. So this is Allan's list here. Congratulations for their 3rd place there. And the next up we have Muhammad with their 1st place Melga, and again, this is strictly just the Melga list with the restrictions. There's no changes. There's no of like the new starter deck stuff either. Obviously there's no EX5 because that's not out yet, but this is really interesting, kind of a flash to a flash to what we used to have for this deck, and it's obviously very viable for better for worse right now. There's a lot of like for your chain. The big thing is you can only have 1 copy of this promo Wargreyx, so we are running like an additional copy of the EX1, which lets you just draw a card, an additional card when digivolving, and also when attacking you get to gain a memory once per turn, and then also as long as you have the 8 or more in hand, but then also the Sagittarius mode to get like the higher stacks and like the more copies of it. So this is still kind of like a strong line. We'll obviously see more of it in the future, but really interesting to see this deck. I think they went X1, right? Yeah, they went X1. They got 5th place X1 with this build, which is what's the newest card? Like the newest card for this is probably from like actually BT9, right? Is there anything after BT9 that's in this deck? BT10, I guess OmniX, right? Other than that, just pretty much a year-old deck that's still able to do well, which is really interesting. So congratulations to Mohammed for their finish there. And then next up we have Vicente with their copy of Shine. Obviously Shine did get hit with the Geo Greymon going to 1 copy for us now in the English format, which wasn't the same as at the start of the Japan format. We also do have the training option, which I think is a trade-off that Shine normally would be very happy with, since it does find our tamers, and since we are very, very dependent on finding our tamers a lot of the time, that is good. I do think we'd want the memory instead of like the reduction, since we do kind of get the free Digivolve with her effects anyways, but it's kind of, again, pretty similar. So we are playing Red Mem Boost there too. We do kind of have our normal top end, and then we're playing some of the Stardex 7 Geo Greymon instead to kind of supplement the lack of the Greymon from the BT13 one. So other than that, it's kind of what we've been seeing. I think this deck still has a lot of power. It's going to be pretty present in this format still. Also note they did change to the BT14 Koromon, which do give you an additional draw as long as you remove a card from your opponent's security stack, which is honestly really easy in this deck, so kind of makes sense there. But this is the build here. Congratulations to Vicente for their finish there. Next up, we have Dane with their D-Brigade list, and honestly, this is one that I've been really excited for in this format. I've been playing D-Brigade off and on for the last couple of years, and it does have like its own new line. It's the Digi Police now too. I just kind of say D-Brigade due to just the legacy of it, but it does have a lot of new lines, which does have a lot of great play with it. We do have this new Commandermon, which is a super rare, but on play, reveal top 5, add 1 D-Brigade or D-Police trait card among them, which I believe our Tamer is one of those two. Yes, sure is. But also inherited once per turn. When this Digimon would leave the battle area other than by effect, you can delete one of your other Digimon other than by your own effect. You could delete another D-Brigade to prevent it, so that's kind of nice since we do go wide on the board, which is kind of the way this deck works. And instead of this being like a strictly rookie rush strategy, we are running more of like a go up the chain, just because we do have some new cards like the High Commandermon, which lets us use the effect to on attack you get to play D-Brigade from the top, and has the inheritable of the same thing by deleting your other D-Brigade. We also have the Cargo Dramon, so on player when Digivolving, you reveal top 3 to play a D-Brigade with a cost of 4 or less, which I don't think the new Mon's not part of the archetype specifically from the Digi Police, but being able to use this to play another card, and also inheritable when one of your other Digimon are deleted, you reveal the top 3, you can play Commandramon without paying its cost. So if someone tries to get rid of this guy, you get to delete one of your other rookies, and then you can try to play another rookie from it. And then on the top end, the Brigade Dramon, being able to delete when Digivolving, delete up to 7 play cost of your opponent's Digimon, and then also everything gets blocker with the D-Brigade trait, and then also at the end of your turn, you get to play 7 play cost worth of cards from the top of your deck, which is like 1 Cargo Dramon or like a High Commandramon or a Commandramon. You can also play, like, if you get like the big hit of like 2 of these and one of your 3 drops, you can play 3 bodies out, which is really nice. And then our Tamer, which lets us get like jamming and reboot, which is great. Then plays it out again, gets the memory, and just the whole thing. So it's a really interesting play style. I do like the deck, and congratulations to Dane for their finish there. Next up, we have Litao with their Loogamon, which I think this deck is a little bit lower on this top 16 than I was expecting, since I think this is the hype deck that a lot of people are playing, and I do think that there's a mix of this was a little bit of a smaller event, and I think that a lot of people are still trying to figure out how the deck works and the optimal play style as well as just the optimal builds with it. But this card's still just kind of broken. Just being able to not only play a bunch of cards on the board, but also being able to continue your turn longer, since it does your opponent doesn't get their turn until they have 3 memory. Now there are negatives for that, where if you have to give your opponent 3 every time, so if you can't really memory choke them because of that. But otherwise, I feel like this deck, if left unchecked, just gets like a really huge board, and also just get a lot of attacks and just kind of OTKs your opponent very, very easily because of it. So that's kind of the idea. We do have like the Loogamon just going all the way up through your beast and style, your dark animal types. We have our Tamer here too, which lets us also do the Mind Link main, which lets you put it underneath it and get the additional effects for you. We have a couple level 5s, including a single copy of Chimeramon, which kind of makes sense when we're playing at a lot of level 4s, and we're also playing the Black Automon, which also not only is a dark animal, but it gains rush on play, or just has rush in general. So if you are able to play this for free, this is just another way that you can attack your opponent because of that too. So other than that, I think the deck is very strong. The Rivals Barrage is an interesting choice, but we do get a good amount of discards from the top of our deck as well. I think from the I think we have a couple ways to do some of those, but being able to do that, like just like the effect in general, being able to get the effect and go from there. So not much more to say from this deck, but I'm pretty sure we're going to see this deck a lot more in the next couple weeks. People are trying to get used to it and figuring out the deck in general, but this, you will see this again, and that might be a bad thing. So anyways, this is Litao's list here. And then next we have Declan Moores with their Lilith loop, I guess. This is a bit of an alternative deck archetype that pops up every once in a while. It kind of goes with the kind of idea with the Guilmon and like the Groundmon archetype being able to mill both your cards and your opponent's cards. So cards like Lilith really do like your own cards in your trash. And because of that, you get to loop some effects, which are really great. Since you're self-milling, again, Rivals Barrage makes a big, a lot of sense. Death Slinger as well, and some additional cards here. Traditionally, we also play we would see like the Creepymon on the top end, but instead we do have the Ghoulmon instead. So this has card effect when digivolving and when attacking. Once per turn, for every 10 cards in your trash, you get to trash the top 3 of your opponent's deck. So if you have 30, you trash 9 cards from your opponent's deck. And also when attacking, once per turn, if this Digimon has 10 or more cards in the trash, this Digimon gains security attack +1 for the turn. So being able to use this to just help mill some of our opponent's cards, I think is good for you. And it's not really dependent on like having your opponent having specific cards on the board, which is nice. And then you also just have the Shine Greymon Ruin mode, which helps us get like later in the game and helps us like sustain a little bit. We do have a lot of recursion again with our Calling from Darkness as well as the Rivals Barrage, which we should be hitting, I think like 1 or 2 per game. That helps us a lot, and just kind of everything else from there. So we also do have the Glaive Memory Boost. Return 1 of your purple Digimon from your trash to your hand. So being able to use this to additional get some card draw, I think is good, or like get our cards back, which. Like Lilith lets you add cards from her trash back to her hand, so we can get like calling for any of one of these two, and that can help us loop the thing. So an interesting deck, and I don't really have much more to say about, but just big congrats to Declan for their finish there. Next up, we have Tikwai Lau's version of Royal Knights, and I've been really liking this deck, and I did like someone already told me about this, and I'm happy to see it in this build too, of the Magna Angemon Ace card. And again, like this is the first Ace card we've seen since like the Bloomlord, like halfway through the video go. So, I don't think the Ace are making the immediate splash for at least this event, but this is a 4-cost on play, but hand or counter Blast Digivolve, but on play when Digivolving. If you have 5 or fewer security cards, you get to recover 1, which is quite good. And also, then for each one of your then for your turn, one of your opponent's Digimon gets -1k for each of your cards in your security stack. So honestly, one of the biggest threats for this deck was the Psychmon, and so being able to play this card for cheap and also use it to get rid of one of a Psychmon and get like recovery. It's also a yellow source, so if it sticks around for another turn, you're able to use like the long key, which is really cool. We can't digivolve onto it because of the Drazil effect, but being able to use this effect to like it's just really great. I think it's really great. The overflow of 3 kind of stinks if they remove it, but I don't think it's a big deal for what it does for you, because otherwise like you had to like long key it away or do something else with it. So I like the idea of the card, and I think it's very strong, and just kind of fits together, helps the deck out a lot. Otherwise, this deck's been pretty known for a bit. You have your own ratios of which Royal Knights you like the most, and congratulations to their finish there. Next up, we have the yellow vaccine deck here, which again like runs the Magna Angemon. But I really do like this deck, and I have to honestly get some more experience with it. Personally, I haven't played it out a lot, but being able to like get like some big bodies on the board, I think like the Kazugomon is a really good finisher potentially, since it can have like the security attack +1. Like if you're able to get to exactly 3 of 3 cards in your security, you do get like these a lot of these bonus effects, which are really nice, including being able to attack twice and help you out there. There are like just ways to kind of facilitate this, and I think that's kind of what this deck is really good at too. There's some cheap ways to not only gain memory back, but also some kind of cheap ways to like take cards from your own security stack to help get into that perfect 3 range, which is cool. The new TK has some great effects, which we'll talk about in the last deck too. But on play, by returning the top card of your security stack to your hand, you may place 1 yellow Digimon with the vaccine trait in your hand at the bottom of your security stack. Then your turn, once per turn, when a card is added to your security stack, you may suspend this tamer to gain 1 memory. So being able to do that is pretty good. And then also being able to put like a yellow vaccine in there, which means Patamon can use your main phase to get like the Digivolve and just kind of everything else. So I think the deck is really interesting. There are some cool plays with it. The Angemon 2 is really interesting by being able to like get the minus, and it's just a weird archetype, but I think it's really cool. So this is Allan's list. Congratulations for their 14th place finish there. And to wrap it up, we have Christian's version of Mastemon, and honestly, this is just a big old pile of cards. Like, look at this. Look at how many cards there are in this. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 24 plus 4, 28 different cards in a deck of 25 or of 50, which is a lot. There's a lot of one-ofs in this, a lot of just like I swear by one-ofs. I can't really hope to get the full picture of this deck. But I do know people have been telling me that Mastemon is around again. There are some chances, and I've been burned by this once or twice before, but it is like a yellow vaccine deck, so you get some of the benefits from that. I think the TK is a good card for you as well, and being able to get like the additional vaccines into our life sometimes, which is just it's just an interesting deck in a lot of ways. And I don't know, I haven't had a lot of experience. This is again just a pilot. Look at the Digi-Eggs. Like they just have four different Digi-Eggs in this deck, which is wild. So I can't imagine like to perfectly say what this deck is doing or what the choices are or why they're here. There's just a lot of cards. It's just a big old pile, and it did well enough. So besides that, congratulations, Christian. Sorry I don't have more insight, but that is the deck there. And that's going to be my breakdown again. If you guys want to see any of these deck lists, they are on my website currently, so you guys can check that out in the description below. And that's really going to be it for me. So thank you again for watching, and I hope to catch you all next time.